Hey friends, welcome back. In today's video, we will discuss about the Identity Federations. So, what is Identity Federation? Identity Federation is a mechanism in which you can use the identity which is available in the external systems like Google, Facebook, or Amazon, through which you can log into other applications. So, say for an example, you have some users which is already having access to or you already having credentials in Google or Facebook, and they wanted to access an application which you are actually created within the AWS. So how do you provide access? So this is one of the main topic which we need to understand for your work perspective, also for your certification perspective, AWS certification perspective. So there are many questions which comes not directly but indirectly connecting all these services, and the answers will be little tricky if you are not understanding the basics of all these things. Okay, so let's understand what are the mechanisms through which you can uh, create application that is using identity federation. So federating a mobile or web application through Cognito. So as you know, Cognito is a service which is built for the federating users or creating access for that is for accessing your AWS services. So for an example, you have an application, a mobile or web application that is actually using AWS services like S3 or DynamoDB. In this particular case, you wanted to access, in order to access these AWS services, you need to have login credentials. So one of the ways you can create a user and hard code this username, password, or long-term credentials, access key and secret key in your code. But as you know, it's a big security no because this one that particular credential is leaked, or there is a high chance for leaking, and if it is leaked, then that will be a big security problem. So the next way is you can use Amazon Cognito, and you can use external IDPs. That external, you can integrate the Cognito with external IDPs, that the Cognito will take care of all the interactions with the IDPs, and you will be able to log in to the AWS services, and you can perform the actions. So how is that authorization actually happening? What I mean by authorization is, suppose, say for an example, you are getting the authentication, your credentials are authenticated. Now how do you define what are the services you can access, or what are the activities you can do in that particular service, or what are the service you should not be able to do it in that particular service? So when you are creating a Cognito integration, basically you are creating a role with this Cognito when you are integrating with the IDP. Behind that particular role, you will be creating an access policy. That particular policy will have rules that will define what kind of activities this user will be able to do it. Even in the case of Cognito, you can create anonymous user access, but end of the day, so through Cognito you can create application or authentication authorization, which can be connected to the external IDPs. So next one is federating users with the public identity services. So like Google and Facebook, it's exactly the same thing Cognito is also using. But if you wanted to have fine-grained privileges and more complex kind of integrations, which Cognito is not able to handle, you can go for OpenID Connect. Or sorry, the public identity service provider federation service. So here the problem would be you have to handle all the interactions which in case of Cognito is handling. All those things your code has to handle. Okay. And third one is the federating users with the SAML. So for an example, in your organization, you may have internal services which is like SAML supported services like Active Directory and ADFS. You can use those ADFS credentials, like the user's credentials which is stored in ADFS can be used to integrate with your application or log into their application. Okay. and the last one is creating identity broker, custom identity broker. So that, what does that mean is, like, suppose you, even your identity provider is not even supporting SAML 2.0, then you have to create a custom identity provider that will take care of all the validations, the ADFS kind of service that will validate the user, make sure everything is valid, and then it will handle, it will connect to the AWS services to create a token or credentials, and then send back to the AWS services. So let's look little detail into each of the services. So federation with Cognito. So when in the case of Cognito, Cognito is actually handling majority of the interaction with the IDPs. So in this case, when a user is logging in, the user will get into the application and provide the username and credential. So that will be redirected to your Amazon ID, sorry, your IDP. That might be Amazon, it can be Facebook, it can be Google. So they will be providing username password here, and they will validating all these things, and it will provide an ID token. Okay, so that ID token will be the application will exchange that ID token with the Cognito. The Cognito will be having an internal trust relationship with your IDP. So Cognito will know, okay, whether this token is valid. If it is after verification, what it will do is it will connect with the STS service for and provide that particular token in exchange of a temporary credential. So that temporary credential, the application will provide that back to your AWS service, and that that token will be used by the AWS service to provide access to. And during that time, it will check the authorization mechanism, will figure it out whether this particular user and the credential has access to DynamoDB or S3 bucket, and based on that one, it will provide or deny the access. So the next one is federation with web identity. As I explained earlier, the web identity federation and the Cognito is almost the same, and AWS is recommending to use Cognito wherever it is possible. So we will be using web identity only when in scenarios where you need fine-grained control, or you basically even figuring out some of the things are not properly working with Cognito. So the bigger challenge here would be, you in the case of Cognito, Cognito is interacting with IDPs, and all those things are already built in within the AWS service Cognito itself. But in the case of Web Identity Federation, you have to write code that would communicate with the IDP and confirm the tokens are valid and all those things. And we will be using an API called assume role with the Web Identity API in order to send this information to the AWS. Okay, so next one is with SAML 2.0. So SAML 2.0 is actually a security assertion language. So we suppose in your corporate environment, you are actually using an Active Directory, and the users wanted to log in from the users which is available in the corporate directory wanted to log into your application. Instead of creating a different credentials, you can use the existing credentials which is available in the Active Directory. So what application will do is it will connect to your Active Directory and ADFS, and it will verify the credentials details, and then it will integrate with the AWS services. It is same as connecting with the Cognito or with the external IDP. The only difference is it is using an different API, that is assume role with the SAML. And internally the SAML and SAML is actually having a trust relationship, and here also a role is connected with the SAML when they are trying to log in, and the role will have a policy. That policy will dictate what permissions this user is having. And the last one is custom identity broker. So in the case of an application where you don't even have an SAML support, then you can go for creating a custom identity broker. So custom identity broker here will be responsible for verifying the user credentials. At the same time, it will be responsible for getting a temporary credentials from the STA service. So it's same as like you will be giving a username password credentials, that identity broker will verify that with the identity store, will generate a token, will give the token to the STA service and generate a temporary credentials. So the URL, the identity broker will create a URL. In the case of access in the browser, it will redirect it using that with that the credentials. It will redirect to the AWS console, and AWS console will be allowing checking because it is already having the role, and it based on that permissions assigned to the role, it will provide or deny the access here. In the case of APIs, same thing, it will be using this temporary access key access keys, and it will provide access to the EC2 instance or whatever services which is available, which is provided the access through the policy. So these are the four mechanisms through which you can integrate your existing your application in AWS with your external IDP or your existing SAML 2.0 Active Directory or ADF services. So you need to make sure it is very clear in order to, before even attending any AWS certifications, because there are, I saw like multiple questions in my certification journey which test the knowledge in this services. Thank you for so much for watching the video. If you like this video, please consider subscribing the channel. Thank you.